Hi, this is Chris. Today I'm going to use up some scraps and make some more of these little notebooks. This one has come in really handy. I made it several months ago. It has a little closure tab like that, and then inside it's full of scrap paper pages. I used this when I went to the antique store to jot down how much I was paying for stuff so that I could stay in my budget. So it's really handy to stick in your purse or to stick into a pocket in a junk journal, or and give as a little gift. It has notes on each side. So I'm going to pull out some more scrap papers and make some more of these notes. And I thought maybe you would like to join me. So let's go. I've picked out some scraps of cardstock. I have this Stamperia scrap, and this one I don't remember where that came from. And then I have some paper scraps. So I have some tea-dyed paper scraps. This was graph paper, and when I tea-dyed it, the ink from the graph paper totally dissolved, but it left really pretty little blue bits on it. They're very faint, but it gave it a pretty effect with the tea and then the subtle blue. And then here's a piece of some planner page. This was an artist journal. You could do your sketch here, and then you could write about the project you were going to do. You could write your idea on there. And then I have some scrap line paper, some graph paper, which is always good. I have some more of those, and some more tea-dyed paper, and then a piece from a non-dated calendar. First thing I'm going to do is make my cover out of cardstock, and this one is about 3 1/4 high by about 2 1/4 wide with a 1/8 inch, I didn't really measure it, but just a little bit of a spine. And so you can make any size you want depending on the kind of paper you have. So I could make this, I think I'll trim it to 3 1/4 high. So right there, 3 1/4 high, and then I'll make it the same as this one, 2 1/4 wide. I'm looking at each square is 1 inch, and each dot is 1/4 inch. So that's what I'm using to measure this. So 2 1/4 and 2 1/4 is 4 1/2, plus we want a little bit of a spine. So let's say 4 3/4. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4. Nothing on this project has to be precise. Okay, then I have my little mini scoreboard. And what should I make for the outside cover? Should it be this or the chicken wire? Hard decisions. So 2 1/4 right here. And we flip it over, and 2 1/4 right here. So that will fold into our book with a little spine. Well, we're supposed to have thunder showers this afternoon, and the sky is clouded up, so it's kind of dark in here. So now we're going to do the closure, and I'm going to use this little piece that I cut off. You could use any scrap that you have. And I'm going to use a special punch. So I have this punch. You can also use, here's a punch with a small hole, This punch, regular punch, the hole's really a little bit too big, but you could use that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch this somewhere in the middle, like that. This punch is for punching ID cards to put onto lanyards. And I'll put a link below. I found it on Amazon if you'd like to look for something like this, because I always like unique tools. You can follow that link to find it. Another thing you could do is you could punch 2 holes. So let me find a piece of cardstock. So here's a piece of cardstock. Well, it's actually an Edith Holden page. And we could just make 2 little dots. Let's see, let's make it a 1/2 inch and punch those. I take a sharp knife and you just take from the outside of that hole to this hole, or if you had some tiny embroidery scissors or something, you could do that. So you could make a slot that way. So we made our 2 slots, and now we want to cut our tab just slightly narrower. I'll use this side, it'll be easier to mark on this side. So I'll make it about that narrow. You can use up a lot of pretty little scraps with this. And then I'll take my bone folder and curl it. You could also use a pencil to curl it a little bit. And then, except I want this to go the other way, so I'm going to recurl it. It should be nice and flexible now. I will be wanting this to go in here, and this will go in here. It's a little bit long, so I'm going to take just maybe, oh, I hear thunder. I'm sure it's too far away for you to hear. And I'm going to round off the end with my corner rounder. It's hard to round a little tiny piece like this, but close enough. So if you wanted to, you could distress the edges with ink, and I like to do that, so I will do that, but I'll fast forward it. So now I'm going to decide what is my cover. I decided I like the chicken wire, but I like this for the front. Could be any way. This is non-directional, so it helps a little bit when you have non-directional paper. So I'm going to put this in this way. I'm going to see, whoops. See how much it goes. Just needs to go in a little bit, so about there. And I'll just use some art glitter glue. So now we have the beginning of our book. Next thing we'll be doing is making the pages. So I'm going to put some of these things away and then we'll work on the pages. So I want the pages to be slightly smaller than the book. So the book is 2 1/4 wide by 3 1/4 high. So I'm going to fold this and see how big it is. So that's plenty big enough. I can get several pages out of that. So I will cut this just slightly smaller, so about 2 1/8, or whatever size fits your cover. And then I'm going to trim off the fold. And then I'm going to do it 3 1/8. So that gave us quite a few pages right off. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit of scribble on that, but this is a junk notebook. So let's see how they fit. I'm going to line them up with the middle of our little gusset, and that'll be just fine. So I'm going to cut a few more pages. So cutting them opened out would be 4 1/4. So 2 1/8 times 2 is 4 1/4. And I cut this so that I got the little notes and lots of paper to write on. That's one, and then I could use some of this one too. Let's see, 4 1/4. Or close enough, and 3 1/8. There's that one. Okay, now we can put our pages together. I've got 4 of these. Come on. And we've got a couple of these, and a couple of these blue ones, and a couple of the graph paper. And now we have our little book that will fit right in here. So what we want to do next is staple them. We won't do any sewing in this book. So on my stapler, I know it's going to be hard to see. I'll rotate it. It's really hard to see. But you can see that the staple, of course, is not right on the edge. And so I put a little black mark with a Sharpie on both sides so I can help line up where that staple actually is. And you want to staple from the outside to the inside, just in the middle. So I line up my little lines as best I can and give it a good staple. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I have one of these little anvils and a small hammer, and I just like to flatten those down a little bit. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to staple it to our cover. And so we want it to go right down the middle of the little gusset. So we're going to going to pull out some clips, and I'm going to center this between the top and the bottom, and then in the middle of our gusset. And that's pretty good. A little bit off there. And we staple that. So how is everyone doing? Are you experiencing the heat wave that's going across the country? I'm in northwest Nevada, and I'm at a high elevation, so usually this time of year we're in 80 degrees, but today it was 95. Okay, so that goes right in there. So next we'll do is make the little notepads, flip-up pads that go on the side here. These can be the same size as these pages or a little bit smaller. I like to make them just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make them 2 inches by 3 inches. That should be pretty easy. So I'm going to make about 12 of these and then show you how I put them together. I've got 12 of these and I'll use 6 on each side. One staple in the center. And again, I'll hammer those down. So with a book this small, you don't want to take up extra room with a bulky staple. So now we need to make the little covers for the tops. More scraps. I have some more of the same scrap. And I'm going to just mark that there. And then I'm going to cut this about 1.25 inches. I'm just going to eyeball it. Just like that. And get out my mini scoreboard. This is by Memory Keepers, by the way. I can put a link below if you're interested in something. It's handy to have something small like this. So I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Like that. And then if I put it this way, the writing will be sideways, but that doesn't matter. I want it to be different. So 1, 2, 3/4. I'm going to ink these a little bit. Okay, we're almost done. this on here like this and staple. Sounded like it was out of staples. Nope. And then we'll put this one on here. Okay, I just wanted to jam up on me a little bit, but it has plenty of staples. All right, and then I'm going to trim these up a little bit. They are looking a little too crooked for my liking. And that's because I didn't get the staples exactly centered, but that's okay. It's just a little junky journal made with scraps. That's a little better. All right, and the last step is just put some, oh, I need to hammer those flat. Need to hammer those flat. Okay. So just put some art glitter glue on here. Make sure we're right side up. And then we'll just glue that right in there. And then the same with this one. So on this book I put in 6 pages, and in this book I put in 10. So there's 20 on each side, or 40 pages. And it turns out it's a little bit too thick for this little band, but that's an easy fix because it's still open under here, it's not glued, and I'm just going to glue this on top of it, the old one, and then I'll have a nice longer one. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. I've already put a label on it, and now I'm going to find something steampunky to put on the front there. So I had a little dig through my steampunk type scraps. I don't have very many, but I found these, and I like this around the world die cut. And then I like the clocks. I keep turning them upside down. So I like this blue one. It catches the blue that's on the cover here. By the way, I think 10 pages is maybe a little too much for this size book. It really wants to open up. So that's better. So I'm thinking of this little around the world. This is a sticker. I think I'll put the sticker Make sure the 12 o'clock is straight up or it'll drive me nuts. That sticker there. Around the world. Make sure there's no glue on that, going over that closure. Now it needs a third element, so I think one of these gears. Should I use a white one or a brown one? I think I'll use a brown one. There. So that's my little book. I'm going to make some more and then we'll come back. Okay, I've made a few books. This is the one that I had made earlier and have been using. I keep it in my purse for when I want to take notes. I used it the last time I went to the antique mall and kept a tally of everything I was picking out and buying so I wouldn't overspend. This is the one that we made together today. It's a chunky little one. In fact, it was so chunky that I made this one with 2 signatures and a wider spine on it. And it's got lots of pages. Let's see, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has 6 in each signature, so that's 12 pages. 24 or 48. And these have 6 in them like the others. A little bit of stationery there. And so that one I call notes. This one I called ideas. I didn't want to cover up this cardstock image, so I just put a little fussy cut on there. And this has one signature in it. And so I'm going to put some of these in some of my journals. I'll show you which journals I'll put them in. Okay, so I have this journal in progress. It's a steampunk journal made from a grocery bag, and I do have a video on how I made this from a grocery bag. And all the flips, when you cut the bag the way I show you, you get all these flips built in. You don't have to do any more. They're already there. You just have to decorate them. And so this little steampunk notebook can go in here. It'll be chunky. That can go in there. It's starting to get full up. And this is my garden journal for next year. I also did a video on how I made this from a children's book. And so I think either one of these could go in here. I'll take the narrower one. And that can go in a pocket like that. And I can take it out and go down to the nursery and take notes. I can put in here if I'm looking for a special plant. I can write it in my little notebook and then take it down to the nursery if I want to see if I can find that plant. So thanks for watching, and I hope this gave you some ideas of how to use up your beautiful scraps. I know we hate to throw away these papers, they're so pretty. And you can make some little notebooks like these. So thanks for watching. Come back again soon. Have a great day crafting. Bye-bye.